All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I saw that, Chef. You're pretty active on that on X over there. I didn't expect that. Morning, guys. Welcome back. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you had, did some stuff you enjoyed, relaxed, recovered, recouped. It was actually pretty nice, and it was raining on Saturday, right? Saturday? Yep, raining so partially Saturday, early Saturday, but mostly all Friday, and then really beautiful yesterday. So some nice weather. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend as well. One second here. All right. I have not gone to Chef's Restaurant, but I would like to. Maybe sometime soon. Rangers, man. What a game. Oh, baby. What a game that was. I had some money on that game, actually, which I'm happy to see them win. I had a friend that was staying over this weekend, and he's a Panthers fan. So we had to put some money on the game. It was a good time. What a game. All right. Yeah, short week. You got Good Friday this Friday, so market is closed. So we have a short week of trading, which is great. We love that. We have our 3-day weekend approaching. Another good weekend to relax, recover. Yeah, it's gonna be a good playoffs for NHL, man. It's gonna be a good time. I'm excited for that. Big time. F1, good race, good race there. No Max up front, so that's new. All right, so once again, guys, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Hope you had a good weekend. A little bit of a pullback this morning on the market. A little bit of drama out of China with those semiconductors. I think that's driving majority of the weakness, it looks like. That semiconductor news out of China. Also, I'm not sure how this whole Russia situation is going to unfold over there. That's also something that's sort of on my mind. Just sort of careful on that. I don't know, you never know what Russia's going to do after what you guys saw. I'm not going to talk too much about it here on YouTube, but so, yeah, some interesting things going on. That semiconductor sort of drama this morning, that Russia sort of weekend stuff going on. I'm just going to call it stuff. So some interesting things there. And then also the market, I still think needing more pullback. I think the market still needs to come back a little bit lower before I'm very interested in longing this market. It has definitely shown the desire, it looks like, to sort of pull back to some key levels. And there's some ES levels below that I'm looking for us to come down to before I get really that aggressive on the longs. So let's see what happens this week. We'll point out some levels. We'll go over some NQES levels. I'll sort of talk you through my sort of opinion on where I think we should see downside to before I get very interested in longs. And then, yeah, so we'll do that. All right, guys, let's get started. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Welcome back. And let's start with that economic calendar. Here we go. So, economic calendar this week. Pull this up real quick. 1 second. USD. There we go. All right. So, this week, Monday, today, new home sales. Nothing. What happened to my Demo Pro? Why does this do this? Why does this do this? Demo Pro. There we go. All right. So, you guys can see right here, today, Monday, 8:25, you have Bostic speaking. That's in 20 minutes. I'm not sure exactly if you'll see much off that, but just be aware of that. I don't think you'll see much. New home sales around 10 o'clock today. I don't think you'll see too much off that, but we could keep an eye on that 10 o'clock time frame. Tomorrow, durable goods, consumer confidence around 10 o'clock. Wednesday, not much. Waller speaking. Thursday looks to be probably your most important day. You got GDP. You got your normal unemployment claims. You got your pending home sales, consumer sentiment. So it looks like Thursday looks to be about the heaviest day there on the economic side. And then Friday, PCE and Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaks. Friday. Market's closed here. So I'm not sure exactly if this is accurate. Market is closed here. So I'm unsure if the accuracy of this. We'll have to wait a few days to see if that, I don't know. We'll see if that changes there. But I think not that heavy of an economic week. It looks like the GDP number might be your largest event here on Thursday. GDP on Thursday, unemployment claims Thursday, home sales, consumer sentiment. That looks to be your biggest event. And that would be the end of the week right there on Thursday, heading into a 3-day weekend. So that looks to be the most important day. Let's see if anything is on the earnings calendar this week. I don't think you're going to see much on the earnings calendar. I think it's going to start to sort of fade away. You do have GameStop for the GameStop boys tomorrow after close. So if you are interested in being a degenerate, go ahead and take a look at GameStop. That looks to be about it. So earnings are sort of wrapping up here. Restoration Hardware, beautiful store, but I'm not interested in playing earnings. All right, that's that. Let's jump into some levels. Let's get into the futures. Let's get an idea of what this market is doing today. So I believe that the Nasdaq at this point, now that we're under 18.5, if we stay under 18.5, I think the Nasdaq needs to come back down to these highs right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I'm thinking the Nasdaq wants to try to retrace down towards like the 18.420 level. So that would be about another 75 points, 50 to 75 points to the downside is where I would like to possibly see the Nasdaq down to before I really get any interest in longing this market. Here's a few things I don't like that happen here to be long on the Nasdaq at these levels, right? I just don't like how the Nasdaq once again failed this 18.6. I do not like this, right? I have no interest in trying to long the Nasdaq market back into that 18.6 triple top. And this is what a lot of longs are going to be looking at today, right? A lot of people are going to say to themselves, right? Do I really want to long this back into this 18.6 supply, right? Am I going to want to try to just take a random spot long here, where we currently are sitting right now, and, trade back into that 18.6? It just doesn't look right for risk reward. I don't like how we failed back under that level. That's a very clear triple top that has formed here. We tried to get above it. We tried to move above it on FOMC, which we did, right? We got above it on FOMC, but we were unable to hold above it, right? And that's a sign of weakness in my eyes on the market, right? This is a sign of weakness on the market that we attempted to long above it, but we could not hold, right? And so you have a failed attempt higher above this double top high at 18.6 that we turned back into a very clear rejection point, right? Look at how clear this turned back into a rejection all last week at 18.6. So not really that interested in longs, to be honest, coming into this week, right? I don't have any interest in trying to be, longing back into that 18.6 supply at this current level. If we move lower, then maybe there is a, bounce back into it. But at current levels, not that big of a fan of that trade, right? That 18.6 supply, that 18.6 rejection, that failed attempt higher on this 4-hour chart does not look that enticing to be bullish in the short term. So a little bit cautious there, right? Just be aware of what's going on in the longer term analysis. Make sure you understand what just happened on the daily, on the 4-hour. And I think what just happened on that 4-hour chart is sort of bearish in my eyes in the short term. So I would want us to move lower before I have any interest of moving back higher, right? I want to see lower levels before I have interest in trading this back higher. So my lower levels, like I said, number one would be possibly this 18.4, 18.420 right here, 18.420, 18.4, this entire zone. That's been a very major previous level. This is somewhere I want to see us come back down to. So that's going to be my first watch. As long as we're under the previous day lows here, which is Friday's lows, right? Right here. See this? 18.5. As long as we're under 18.5, I'm thinking you're moving lower. Right? If the Nasdaq stays below this low right here at 18.5, you should continue to see weakness, which could move us into our demand level. So under 18.5, I think is weak today on the Nasdaq futures, guys. If you see a pop maybe back into 18.5, that could be your fade spot, right? That could be a really nice early morning fade, maybe a pop and fade into 18.5. Could look for something like that. But as long as you're under that 18.5, I think that's extreme weakness. If you get over 18.5, there's maybe a chance you sort of retrace back to that 18.6, right? But I would be careful, again, longing into 18.6. So 18.5, 18.6 are very big supply levels to be watching today. Down below, you got your 18.4. And if you break 18.4, then you're moving into your 20 SMA, okay? If you break the 18.4, then you're moving into your 20 SMA, and that's right here, right? 20 SMA is right around that 18.355. So I would make sure you understand more than anything the larger term analysis today. Make sure you understand what happened last week on the entire week. The entire week last week was a failed move higher. It was a attempt move through the highs and a very major fail back below the previous double top highs on this market. That, I believe, leads to weakness. I would want to see us at least 18.4 before any interest in longs. And if you don't even see any strength at 18.4, then you got to watch the move down to this 20 SMA. I would not just simply instantly start buying longs when you get into this zone, right? That's not what I mean by this. This is a monitor level, right? You monitor what price action does here. Does it start to hold? Maybe can we get back above 18.5? Maybe that's when I long here, right? I'm not going to just, we're in 18.4, I'm long, right? That's not how you trade. Just because it's at that level doesn't mean we're instantly buying longs, but we understand that that could be a demand level to watch. And sort of if it materializes there, then we could look for that potential long off that 18.4. So that's my read right now on the NASDAQ. I am looking for that move lower today towards this 18.4 demand, right? And I'll look for that sort of pop and fade at 18.5 rejection of previous day lows as my entry point for that short side play. At 18.4, be careful on shorts, and then the 20 SMA below. This is sort of that 20 SMA area right around here, right around that 350. Okay, let's go to QQQ. QQQ, you guys can see right here, this is a very similar analysis. If we go to the 4-hour chart on the QQQ, we can see the failed attempt higher. All right, we tried to get above this 447 triple top. You can see right here, 447. All right, 447. We had a rejection at that 447. All right, and you can see we tried to get above it. We could not. We failed back below that 447 and turned it into rejections all last week. All right, so if the QQQ is under 447, you are under a triple top high, and you have seen a failed attempt higher off that 447 level. Not great, right? Not great. So be careful there. The next level that you're watching here is 444. And right now as we speak, actually, 444 looks to be rejecting. It could be 444. It could be like 444.35, right in there, right? We're looking at this right here, the previous day lows, the Friday lows right here. See this Friday low right here? 444.35, right? Look at how that's rejecting as we speak. So if the QQQ, just like the Nasdaq, is under this Friday low, I think it stays weak. If we stay under this Friday low right here, you stay weak, right? And you move into the 442, right? The 442 is that level that I was just referring to on the Nasdaq futures. 442. Let me go ahead and zoom out. Get more time here. 442, 442, 442, 442, 442. That's where I would want the QQQ back to before I have much interest in the long side. So if we're under 444, I'm looking for 442. All right. That's my plan right now. If you get under 442, then you're moving down to the 20 SMA. 20 SMA, daily 20 SMA is down at 440. Okay? 444, 442, 20 SMA. Those are my major levels I'm watching today. The key of today is right here. This is the key. Right there. Friday lows. Do we stay below them? That's the key for today. If we get back above Friday's lows, you could see this market retrace a little bit, right? Maybe back towards these 447 highs. It's all about that Friday low. Same thing on the Nasdaq. That is right here, 18.5. Can't see that. Sorry about that. 18.5, 18.5. All right. All right, ES. So when I look at this ES 4 hour, actually, you know what? Let's go to the 1 hour. When I look at this ES 1 hour, you guys know exactly what we've been talking about on this live stream all last week. We said after this push higher, you will always look for the retracement back to the breakout point, right? We talked about this all last week, the possibility of this ES after that big push higher coming back and retesting the breakout point. And the breakout point was right here. It was here and it was here. So we broke out of that level, and we want to see that pullback towards that breakout point for that next potential long opportunity, which would be a break and retest. So I personally would like to see the ES back to this 5250, right in here. This is really the spot I'd like to see the ES back to before I'm getting that interested in the long side trades. This is a big pop on FOMC, breakout of a double top high, and I would love to see this back to that 5250 and see if we can get that sort of move back higher, right? This would be the spot that I would start to target longs if we can get that pullback. I don't know if we're going to get it, but that's what I would be looking for. In the short term, there are some key levels that are holding right now on the ES. You can see this little reaction that's coming off this 52.75. If I go to the 5-minute chart, we can see this is back on the FOMC day. We can see some levels here that we have to put, I think, minor demand levels that we have to put on our charts. Number one, it looks like it's this low right here at 52.75. 52.75, and then below that, it looks to be maybe this 52.65. 52.67. But for now, right, we can see the ES. See this little reaction that's coming in right now of 52.75? That is a previous low from Friday intraday. I'm sorry, Wednesday intraday. Wednesday intraday, FOMC day, we had this reaction right here. You can see this little double bottom low that created upside. That's at 52.75, right? And you can see right now, if I scroll over, we are reacting off that level. So 52.75 looks to be a little bit of a short-term demand. You can see the markets are popping off of it a little bit higher right now. That would be a level I'd be watching for the short-term hold. 52.75, 52.67, and then below that, you come into my 52.50 demand right here. If you break through those two demands, 1, 2, you're going to move back down into this double top high. This is really where I'm interested for the longs. 52.50, 52.55 area on the ES futures. We'll see if we get it. As of right now, if I go to the 30-minute chart, actually, let me go to the 15-minute. It still looks like this 52.90 area, anywhere between, it's like this 52.90 looks to be the heavy level now. So you can see we had 52.90. We tried to hold that Friday. We tried to hold that end of day Friday. We tried to hold that in the futures market, 52.90. We failed it. We came back up. We rejected it pretty aggressively. So I would say, even if you hold this little 52.75 today, I am not that big of a fan of longing back in the 52.90. Okay? 52.90 looks a little heavy up here. All these lows from Friday, see all these lows from Friday? I would not want to be long if the market trades back into this area. This could be your little pop and fade move for that continuation to the downside. We can see the ES has been in a pretty structured downtrend since that FOMC move. Right? It's been sort of structuring to the downside, and this could just sort of continue, right, towards the downside, towards our demand. So, a little bit of a tough day here on the ES. I do like that 52.90 level. I like this short-term 52.75. However, I'm going to stay strong in the thought process on the longer term for now. I'm going to stay pretty solid, pretty strong with wanting a pullback to these levels before really getting interested in longing this market. I know that when I look back at this market, maybe next week, right, I'm going to say, if I tried to long something here and it did move lower, I'm going to say, why didn't you just wait for us to retrace to that double top high? All right, why didn't you just wait for us to get that really strong long entry back at that double top high? That's what I'm trying to keep, that's what I'm trying to keep in my head today. That's where I want to really target this week. All right. SPY, it's very clear, right? Look how clear this could be on the SPY. You just have to stay patient for it. Look how clear the break and retest long could be at 518 on the SPY, right? That's where you want to be long. You want to be long potentially at this previous double top high. You want to wait for us to test that level. That is my personal opinion. I would not want to try to long this SPY anywhere unless it came back to 518. That's what I'm trying to keep in my mind this week to protect myself. 518, very clear double top high. If we come back and retest that level, this would really be the spot that I would look to see if there's a long potential. Okay? So, for me, 518 or nothing this week on the long side. Obviously we'll see how things sort of develop. If things start to really gain strength again, then of course I'll look to reassess. But for now, 518 looks to be the spot that I want to see us back to. And you have these sort of lows at 520.7, 521. You have this 522 level that rejected. So a little bit cautious just longing back into these levels. I don't really like just longing off of this spot right here looking for more upside. I'd be more confident longing this SPY after the pullback here. If you get this move, then we can see if the buyers step up at our 518 for that next opportunity. So 518 is sort of that target level for me to get active this week. If we don't get a 518 pullback, I think I'll probably be a little bit less active on the week because I really just want the market to be clear. All right, I want to be really clear with what I'm looking at. As of now, I don't have full confidence that we're ready to bounce on this market. At this level, I would have more confidence. All right. All right, that's the ES NQ SPY QQQ. We'll go to the Russell real quick. So the Russell's at the 20 SMA. You can see again the Russell failed this 2130 supply. Fail, right? A nice fail last week at 2130. Nice pullback. Yeah, I'd say you probably, if you don't hold this 20 SMA, you probably move back down into this 2070 level right here. 2070, big demand there. Big supply above 2130. Right now, the Russell is just right in the middle of that channel, right at the daily 20. So if you are trading the Russell, if you have interest in trading the Russell, then you're watching this daily 20 today, guys. 2090, 2088, that's what you're watching right there. That daily 20 SMA on the RTY. Dow Jones. Where are we at here on the Dow? Oh, the Dow came back to the... Is that the retest? Yeah, it is. Okay. See, look at this. The Dow has come back to the retest. So this is interesting, right? The Dow has come back, not quite to the retest. I don't know if I'd call it that. I think I'd call it 39.7. 39,700. I think that's where I'd really be confident, right? But look at how the Dow... We talked about this. We said Dow squeezed above those double top highs. Let's wait for the pullback, right? And look at what the Dow did. So, again, another testament to not chasing these moves. You cannot chase these moves on these markets. I don't care how strong the market looks. I don't care, we're going straight up and we're going to continue. No, man, you got to wait for these pullbacks. And look at this pullback that could set up on the Dow. Right? This could be really nice. So this is basically the same concept as what I'm looking for here on the ES, back to that 5250 and back towards that 518 on SPY. All right, same concept. Big squeeze, pull back to breakout points, and then continue. So that's sort of my read this week. I would say, to start the week, I am cautious on the long side due to we have not pulled back fully yet, right? And this was why, if you guys were in the group on Friday, I was pretty much taking all my longs off on Friday because we were sort of suspended in midair, right? The ES on Friday is 100% just sort of suspended in midair up here, and a pullback I believe was wanted or warranted, and that's why I started to just sort of unload my risk into the weekend. So coming into this week, I'm going to require a deeper pullback before getting active. I think I'll reiterate it, 5250 and that SPY 518 is where I'll be watching. We'll see if we get it, right? I'm not saying that we're for sure going to get it, but that's where I'm going to sort of keep my eyes on to start this week. All right? We'll review this again towards the end of the stream. 2,000 people, 600 likes. Ouch. Press that like button. Press that like button. Press it. Subscribe to the channel. All right. Let's go into some stocks. Tesla. All right, so Tesla. I don't like that it's back under 175. That's not great for Tesla. 174, 175 area. Definitely staying relatively weak here, right? We can see Tesla, previous lows. We failed back under it. After failing back under 175, we've seen the weakness. But I think Tesla's starting to find its channel. This looks to be the starting of a channel here on Tesla. It looks like this 165 demand. Let me make that green. It looks like this 165 level is a nice hold level. You can see 165, 165, and then Friday 165. We said don't short into 165 on Tesla on Friday. Congratulations to those who did not. And then we have to be careful on the upside into this 174. So for me, this is nonsense. This is continuous losses on Tesla if you continue to try to trade it. I don't like anything, right? This is complete middle of the zone. This is complete twilight zone. You have zero idea, zero edge on Tesla today. What's going to happen on Tesla today as it sits in the middle of this zone? I have no idea. This is nothing here. All right? You need to trade either here or here. You do not trade in the middle of levels. So There is no interest in Tesla today for me. If Tesla goes into that 174 and starts to fade, right, then maybe there's a short. If Tesla does a quick drop into 165 and you start to see that demand stepping up, maybe there's a long, right? It's either here or here. It is not. I am long Tesla randomly at 169 because I think it should go higher today. That is not a trade. So I don't like anything on Tesla today. Totally uninterested. Totally uninterested unless we get one of these levels to hit. And we'll see if we get that maybe sometime this week. Nvidia. So Nvidia, very strong hold so far this morning of this previous high. So this is really our main watch here on Nvidia today. You can see right here. You have this previous high at around that 935 level on Nvidia right here. Previous highs, 935. That, we had this high here. We had a lower high here, right? We had this 960, 935. You had one high, two highs as we moved lower. Now, you can see this morning, what is Nvidia doing at this 935 level, right? Nvidia is trying to hold it. That's very big. So, does Nvidia hold over 935 today? If it does, this could be, sort of that long into that 960. However, I'm not in love with the market for that idea. That's my only concern here. However, Nvidia is gaining strength, it looks like, because of that China news. China did not include Nvidia in that sort of, whatever you call it, ban or whatever they did with those semiconductors. Nvidia was not included in that. And that's why Nvidia had a gap up this morning. It's a little bit weak because of that overall market weakness, but it looks like 935 is the level you could trade off of today. So I would watch 935, look to see if this thing really holds on. If it does, there's possibly that long into 960 again. If Nvidia breaks under 935, you are going to trade back into 924. And under 924, you trade back into 904. Okay, so very clear levels here on Nvidia. 935, 924, 904. Very clear levels there on the downside. So I would look to see if this holds. If it does not, you're coming back into 924. If not, you're coming back into 904. To the upside, here's a little bit of a concern. Right? Here's a little bit of a concern on Nvidia to the upside. It just sort of pushed back into that all-time high, and it got a little bit weak. Right? It got a little bit weak there. So a little bit cautious. How aggressive are you going to get trading Nvidia back into this major 960 rejection? Right? A little bit cautious there. We took longs back on Wednesday of last week. All right, you guys know that. We took longs back on Wednesday of last week. We caught this upside. Right? This was the trade to the upside. That's where you want to take advantage, right? The good longs, the confident longs, the longs that had good risk reward were where? Right? Where were good longs on Nvidia? Down at this demand, coming off that demand for that push into supply highs. This was a good long down here in terms of risk reward for that upside push. But now, right, you have to, as a trader, understand, hey, last week Nvidia went up all week, right? And now we are at the supply highs. So is my risk reward as good now longing it into this 960 high? Or is this now flipping for downside risk reward? Right? The longs, you have to understand when you missed the quality long. The quality long in Nvidia last week was down off this 850 level, down after it held that demand for the move higher. It is not now here. This is not your long opportunity. This is not as juicy up here into 960 supply highs. Okay? So you have to understand that coming into today. Right? If Nvidia was here this week and holding 850, holding the 20, right, I'd be much more interested in longing this back into the highs. But that's not where we are. We are at the supply highs at 960. So a little bit more cautious on how horned up you're going to get on Nvidia today to the long side. If Nvidia gets over 960, then it sort of resets, right? Then we can look for that upside on a hold above these highs. That's if that happens, right? We'll have to see if that happens. So I would watch 935. There could be some short-term scalp longs off that level. I would maybe look for a pullback. I'd be more interested in a pullback into 924. And then I would, if you do end up being long Nvidia today, if you find yourself long Nvidia somehow today, then you need to be careful of 960. You have to be careful of 960. Okay? All right. AMD. A little bit of drama on AMD this morning. AMD dropping below a very key level in my eyes, below this 175 level. Let me go ahead and move back a little bit. I need more time here. Right there. So, AMD had some major previous lows form around this 174, 175 area. We tried to hold it last week. We had a double bottom low there last week. And today, right now, right, look at what AMD is doing. This has to be red. AMD is now turning this level into a potential rejection point. So what I would be looking at today is, does AMD stay below 175? That's about all I'd be watching today. Does AMD stay below 175? If it does, and you see rejections here, this could be a very nice short side play. If AMD reclaims 175 and starts to hold above it, then we're right back to where we were in last week's channel. So I would be watching this low. You can see right here. Look at how clear that is. 175, 175. Watch to see if this turns into a rejection today for more downside, or do we get back above it? And if we get back above it, you better give up on the short side entry, right? If you try to short it here and AMD gets back above 175 and starts to hold, give up on the short, right? Because you are back above some very key levels if you find yourself back above 175. You do not want to stay short if AMD can get back over 175. That could be a reclaim and a continuation up towards this 184 level. All right, so 175 AMD, big watch, man, big watch. TSM, man, I still really like this setup, but I am concerned about the market. I am concerned that the market will be able to help TSM higher. But as of right now, this still looks like a good setup to me. You have this low here at 139. You have some of this 139 action here. And all last week, we held that 139 pretty well, right? 139, pretty nice hold. We're holding above that daily 20. And so I'm going to continue to be interested in longing TSM as long as it's above this 139 level with a target back into this high at 147. But we'll see, man. I'm not that confident in it. I'm a little bit concerned that just the overall market sort of crushes this strength and you do end up failing this move. But I would be continuing to watch this 139 on TSM. All right, we can see right here on the 15-minute chart. We did a really good job of holding that last week above that daily 20. So I'm going to continue to look to be long off this 139. But we're going to need to see the market sort of gain some strength for that to really follow through. SMCI, if the semis stay weak today, right, if we get some more weakness on the market, man, is this still an interesting play. 1,000, the 1,000 mark, the daily 20 on SMCI. You got these previous highs, previous lows, previous high, rejections from Friday. I am still very interested to see if this rolls over off this $1,000 level for a move into 800. It's going to be hard to catch. You're definitely going to have to be in it when it starts to fall, right? You can't really get into SMCI when it's just sort of lingering around. If you get into SMCI when it's sort of lingering, it can be pretty nasty, pretty aggressive against you. I'm not sure I'm ready yet to take this idea, but if I can start to get some really clean weakness on the market and very clean weakness on the semis, and I start to really see this 1,000 level get knocked down, I'm very interested in this setup. But it's going to be hard to catch, man, and you better be careful doing it, okay? You better be on your top risk management trying to take this trade because it can very quickly go against you. So I'm going to watch it this week. I'm not ready to trade it. I have no interest in it today, but I am going to sort of just hawk this thing. I'll be hawking it, all right? Every 5-10 minutes, I'm going to pop into SMCI, all right? What's SMCI doing? Is it still rejecting 1,000? Am I still seeing rejections at the 20? All right, let me go ahead and hawk this thing this week to see if this is going to set up. That's something I will be watching. All right, let's get into let's go to Meta. So Meta, really interesting setup here. If the market can get strong again, that's a big if. But if the market can, right, if we can get that bounce today or bounce this week, right here. Look at this 503, 505 zone. 505, 503, this zone right here, and look at how you're holding above it. Is this little flag maybe, or a little triangle, descending triangle, for a little bit more upside movement? Right? That's possible on Meta, but you have to hold this 503, 505. You have to turn these previous highs into new lows. Right? You can see we were able to break above that level. We have retested that level on a nice little slow pullback. Is this move right here? That is something I would absolutely be watching on Meta. I don't think it's ready yet. And I also, here's the reason why I'm cautious on that trade idea. Because I don't like the Nasdaq to do this at this point. Right? I don't have confidence that the Nasdaq is going to do this at this point. So if the Nasdaq was here, right, and let's say the ES was here, and I say, okay, ES is at demand, Nasdaq's at a strong demand. These were the demand levels that I was looking to long the market off of, right? This is how you have to think about your trades. It's not just, oh, Meta's at this level, I'm long, right? Because, yeah, sure, Meta might be at this level, but where's the ES? Where's the Nasdaq? If the ES was at 52.50, if the Nasdaq was at 18.4, and I saw Meta just sort of sticking around this 503, 505, then I would have more confidence to try that long entry. But while I like this Meta idea, I don't like where the market is for that long. So I'm not in love with it yet. It is something to watch. If Meta does fail this level, this could really be some downside. If Meta fails back under this high, back under this high, and back under this high right here, if Meta fails back under this triple top, then I think you could see downside towards maybe that 20 SMA. All right? Always got to think about where everything is on the market before you start taking positions. You got to make sure you line up your trades with the overall market. And for right now, I'm not in love with the longs. Here's another one that I'm not in love with the longs, right? Again, another failed attempt of 180 on Amazon last week. So I'm not going to just say, oh, Amazon's, right in the middle of a channel. Let me just randomly long this thing into 180 supply, right? That's not a trade. Okay, so we're not longing Amazon back into 180 supply in the middle of a channel. Where do we want to see Amazon down to? We need to see Amazon come back down to this 176.50. We need to see Amazon back down to this previous double top. We need to see Amazon come back down and test this demand before we can try that long. All right, so 176.50 to 180 looks to be your channel on Amazon here. You have definitely formed a channel here. You can see some channeling here, a little bit of channeling here. All right, and so I need this back to 176.50, or I need this over 180, all right, before I even try to long this thing. Google. Yeah, Google's been a strong one. Here is a little bit of concern, though, right? We can see right here, 153, 153, right? We're not going to just long into 153 on Google. This is an interesting potential hold. Interesting, right? You can see right here, you have this previous high right here, and you are trying to hold right there, right? So this is sort of interesting here on Google. Let's see if we hold this 150.7. Right, we can see if we hold this 150.7 right here, one previous high, and a hold right there. So we'll watch that. Do I love that off of a channel high rejection? No, right? I look at this more like this. I like this, and I like this. So in this, where we sit right now, where is the risk reward? Where we sit, you got to think of these channels. You got to have a channel, right? This is how you think of these channels. Okay, right here. I'm going to write this out real quick. 50% retracements right here. Okay, we got that. This is my 50% level. These are my two. This is my top and bottom half of the zone. All right, let's just call this, let's make this red. There we go. So, right, there's from the highs to the lows, right? And we have a 50% right in the middle, around 150. I am not interested in longs anywhere in this area. And I am not interested in shorts anywhere in this area, right? If I'm going to long, it's either going to be in this, right, down here, or it's going to be above the red zone. It's going to be either here or here. I'm not going to just long after a high rejection looking for a push back into it, okay? If I'm going to short, I want it to be here at these highs, or I want it to be here under these lows, right? So you have to be careful trading in these channels, and you have to be very precise with where you set up these trades, because if you just start randomly longing things, randomly shorting things, and you're just going to get a bunch of this, and you're just going to get totally destroyed, man. And it's just not a trade. Okay? All right. Yeah, it's all right, Margin. I'm not paying attention to it, man. But I appreciate you trying to clean up the chat. Yeah, guys, if you come in here at 9:45, 45 minutes after the stream starts, and you start screaming out tickers, just know I don't like you. Okay. just know that, right? There's probably a 0% chance, unless you're someone that's been, in the live stream a lot, and maybe you're a supporter of the stream and you want to see something. I'm not going to just start, reading your chats 45 minutes into the live stream and going through the tickers that you're doing. We're on a schedule here. We got a show here. This is a structured show, and we're not going to start screaming out tickers. All right. So we went over Google, Microsoft, or no, we can go Microsoft. Let's go Microsoft. What's up, brother? Microsoft. So let's go to the 4-hour chart. This is, again, another failed move higher. So a little bit cautious here on Microsoft. So you guys can see right here, this 428 high, and we're back under it. So 428 high. Let me go and zoom in on this. It's like 428, 420. It's like 429, I say. You can probably give it 429. So you can see right here, 429, 429. Microsoft is failing to hold over that high. Right? Microsoft is failing to hold over that 429 high. So at this point, right, this is the same analysis we just did. Let's do our channel analysis, right? Where's our 50%? Where's the channel, right? We are looking for only shorts, right? If we're, up in this 429 area, we need to move back down to our demand. We need to move back down into our 421 demand at this point. So if I'm going to long this, I want to see it long back at 421, right? Or I need to see it hold back over 429. So at this point, I don't like the longs once again, right? This 429 level, that rejection is a little bit concerning. I would look for that fade of 429 back into the 421 demand. So 421, 429, that's your channel. Do not long back into rejection highs. All right. Let's go to Coinbase, because Coinbase is, again, another stock that is in no man's land. No man's land, purgatory, twilight zone, whatever you want to call it. This is exactly where Coinbase is. It is right in between two major levels, right? Look at this mess on Coinbase here. So you have the highs at 276, which was a fantastic short on Thursday, right? If you guys took shorts at the channel high on Coinbase, you crushed it, right? Because you waited for the channel high test. You waited for that previous high here to turn into a rejection point, and you caught a beautiful downside trade, right? Now that we're sitting right in the middle of this thing, we need to see a fade again off 276, or we need to see a drop and a long off of that 245. These are the only two entries on Coinbase, either here or here. We are not taking random longs on Coinbase at 262.7 because I think Bitcoin should go up today. That is going to result in this. Okay? We don't do that. So 245, 276, you either look for shorts here or we look for a potential long off 245. Wait for the levels to hit. Patience. Trading is 99% patience, right? Patience for our level to hit, patience for our plan to set up. Boeing, a little bit of pop today, right? What did we talk about last week? You guys know. You guys should know if you come to this live stream. We are not shorting into October 2023 lows, right? And look at the perfect hold on that Boeing. Perfect hold on that Boeing, October 2023 lows. Very, very nice. Very nice. A little bit of upside continuation off that level, right? You can see ever since that hold, we've been getting that pop. Looks like we're coming into some major stuff here, right? 198. Look at this. 198, 198, 198, 198, 198. This is going to be a big test today on Boeing, 198. However, it looks like Boeing is being driven by external factors. Boeing CEO to step down, Dave Calhoun. It's about time, huh? What a mess he's made of this company, to be quite honest. So here's the problem today, guys. I know you're all horned up. I know you're watching the shiny object. Oh, my God, Boeing's up. Oh, my God, right? I know everyone's going to be all excited. Holy shit, Boeing's up pre-market. Let me start throwing away everything that I look for on a daily basis and just focus on the thing that's going straight up, okay? Terrible idea. Terrible idea. Trade your system every day. Do not get overly excited about something that is spiking or rejecting or something that's crazy. Don't get sucked into the shiny object in your trading. This is going to be a very difficult thing to be trading today. Why? Because it's being influenced by an external factor. It's being influenced by economic news. Economic news, you could call it the CEO stepping down, right? I don't know how the market will respond to this. I don't know how Boeing will respond to this news. As of right now, we can see we get a push to the upside. Is the supply level going to react even with that data or that, whatever you want to call it, that news that's out on Boeing? That is very hard to know, right? I don't know if this previous low is going to turn into a rejection point today because of that economic news, right? So I have no interest in trading Boeing today, right? Because I don't have trust. I don't have much trust in my technical levels when you have an external news floating around like the CEO stepping down, right? So we'll keep an eye on it. We can watch to see what it does today. We'll see if it starts to respect levels, but we're not going to just wake up and start slamming the longs on Boeing because the CEO stepped down, okay? That's not a trading strategy. That's a guess. All right. Let's go into the Nasdaq real quick. I got to jump off. It looks like we're still under 18.5. You're watching 18.5 today on the Nasdaq futures. You're watching 444 on the QQQ. We're watching that ES demand low around 52.75, and we're watching that SPY low, or that SPY 520 area. The low here is, let me get that on my charts for you. It's right in this 519. It's like 519.20 is like that little Friday low right here. You can see. But I think the very clear level right now, guys, is does the Nasdaq stay below this Friday low at 18.5? If that's the case, I think you see more downside. All right, guys, have a fantastic trading day. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Press the like button, subscribe to the channel for me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.